87.3. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. That was Billy, Don't Be a Hero by Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods.
A real fan favorite. Ain't that so, Al?
Sure is, Johnny. Let me tell you what else is a fan favorite.
What's that, Al?
General public safety.
How's that, Alan?
Well, Johnny, there's a big thunderstorm brewing, and I'm a personal fan of staying safe. And so should you folks. Storms are rolling in as early as this afternoon, so be sure to get all your errands done before.
And make sure you have plenty of batteries, water, and of course you can't forget the snacks. That's what I'm a fan of.
Sure thing, Johnny. But before that happens, we still have a little more time to rock out. This is...
Hey, Natalie, grab your flashlight off the counter while you're in there. I think we can probably get away with just 3 for now.
Victoria, Grace, settle yourselves. I know it's not a typical camp evening, but that doesn't mean we need to get out of hand. Thank you, girls. Now, sit down with the others.
8, 9, 10. Nice. All tigers accounted for.
Are we really stuck inside all night? No campfire?
Afraid so. The storm's not letting up anytime soon, I don't think.
But we're supposed to have stories by the fire tonight. This is so boring.
Boring? Not a chance. We've got the perfect setup right here. Best bunk fort in Camp Wanatel history for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We made one with like 2 sheets and some rope when I was a camper. You guys have so many different extra perks, especially with Wolf Cabin being closed right now. They have extra stuff to share since there's less of you this summer.
Why did they close it, though?
I heard it was because some kid started a fire and it burned down half the furniture.
No way, it was haunted. The ghosts of all the trails almost killed a kid.
Oh, whatever. Ghosts aren't real?
Yeah, huh? Careful, Mary. They might hear you and come for you next.
Well, I think it's just made us bunk like sardines. I can never sleep with all the snoring in here.
Well, you might see it as cramped, but I see it as an opportunity for adventure, for bonding.
Speaking of...
Let's do something fun to pass the time during the storm, yeah?
You guys ever made shadow puppets?
Shadow puppets?
Yup. All you need is a flashlight and a little imagination. We'll project them on the walls of the fort and... Watch this. The wing, and then the... There's the beak.
That looks like the hawk we saw on the hike. Oh, that's so cool. Let me try.
Go for it. We can make a whole story out of this. You guys make the characters, and Amanda and I will narrate.
Don't be silly, I'm going first.
Let's make a lion.
No, a tiger. Yours might be a tiger, but mine's going to be the hero.
Oh, no.
And so the brave rabbit faces off against the mighty dragon to protect her forest.
My dragon's gonna win.
Not if the rabbit has help from the creature under Camp Wanatel.
Creature?
What, like a monster?
It's nothing. Just some old campfire stories and legends. We have plenty of those around here. Totally made up, though.
Wow. Not all of them are just stories.
What do you mean?
Some say, on nights like this, when the rain pounds down on the cabins, you might catch a glimpse of her. Brooke.
Who's that?
Maggie, come on. You'll scare them over some stupid legend. See? And you haven't even started yet.
Hey, it's just a bad storm, okay? Are you scaredy cats or tigers?
Tigers! Well, we're not scared. It was just loud.
Yeah. We're not scared of thunder.
All right. This story, it's not like the others. It's not about ghouls or ghosts or things that go bump in the night. This one is about something much, much worse. It's about what happens when the woods decides to keep you.
The night is still, the forest dark. A distant scream, a lantern's spark. Through tangled woods you make your way, where unseen eyes observe their prey. A creaking branch, a whispered name, a chilling wind, an ebbing flame. The path ahead is cold and frail. Secrets weave through night's thin veil. Old legends speak of spirits near, of those who vanished, drowned in fear. Moonlight fades and shadows swell on the trail to Wanatel.
Years ago, before Camp Wanatel closed, there was a camper named Brooke. She came to Camp Wanatel eager to spend her summer by the lake, swimming, hiking, and telling scary stories by the campfire. She was like any of you, young, adventurous, naive. But Brooke had a secret.
She just wasn't afraid. When there was a thunderstorm, she would park herself outside her cabin just to feel how thick and electric the air was. The darkness in the forest when night fell felt good. It was a feeling she craved more and more the longer camp went on.
The counselors warned her, though. Told her the woods around Camp Wanatel weren't normal, that they had a way of changing after dark. But Brooke didn't listen. And she wouldn't be breaking any rules. She shrugged off their warnings, convinced they were just trying to scare her.
But the woods don't like to be ignored. One night, when a storm was at its worst, Brooke decided to sneak out. The others were huddled inside, safe and warm. But not Brooke. No, she was drawn to the storm, to the wildness of it all. She wanted to feel the wind on her face, the rain on her skin, so she grabbed her flashlight and crept out of the cabin, disappearing into the night.
The rain came down in sheets, blurring the trees into dark, towering shapes. The wind whipped through the branches, and the path to the lake was nothing more than mud and slick roots. But Brooke didn't care. She trudged forward, deeper into the woods, the thrill of being alone with the storm pushing her forward.
But soon the path became unfamiliar. The trees, once familiar landmarks, now looked foreign, twisted and gnarled in ways they hadn't before. The rain blurred her vision, and every step felt like it was taking her further from camp, further from safety.
That's when she heard it. A low sound, like a whisper carried on the wind. It was too faint to make out, but it was there, just beyond the rain. Brooke stopped, her heart pounding, and listened. It came again, a little louder this time. A voice calling her name.
She turned, her flashlight casting shaky beams through the storm, but there was no one there. Just the trees, the endless, dark trees swaying in the wind. She shook it off, told herself that it was just the storm playing tricks on her, and kept walking. But the voice didn't stop. It followed her, growing louder closer, until it was all she could hear.
And then the ground beneath her shifted.
It was subtle at first, like the earth was breathing beneath her feet. But then it happened again, stronger this time. A slow, deliberate ripple that made the mud beneath her feet feel alive. She froze, staring down at the ground as the rain soaked through her clothes. And that's when she saw it. The earth, moving. Like something underneath was waking up.
She tried to move, but her feet were stuck. The mud had turned thick like tar, and it clung to her boots, pulling her down. She yanked her foot free, but with every step, the ground seemed to grip her tighter. And then she felt something cold, something wet, wrapping around her ankles.
It wasn't the mud. No, this was something else. Something that wasn't supposed to be there. She looked down and her heart stopped. The earth was moving, shifting, like hands reaching up from beneath the surface, pulling her down.
For the first time, Brooke was afraid, and she screamed. The storm swallowed her voice. She clawed at the ground, tried to pull herself free, but it was no use. The more she struggled, the deeper she sank, the earth rising up around her, cold and unyielding, no matter how much she yelled.
That's when she knew she wasn't going home. The woods wanted her, and it was going to take her. You can't reason with something that isn't human.
The mud climbed higher, creeping past her knees, her waist pulling her deeper. Her flashlight fell from her hand, disappearing into the muck. The world around her went dark. The rain was all she could hear, pounding relentlessly as the earth claimed her inch by inch.
Brooke almost stopped fighting. She realized in that terrifying sinking moment that she wasn't just lost in the woods and sinking in the muck. She was being buried, alive. The earth was swallowing her whole, and no one would ever know.
She could feel it now. The weight of the earth pressing down on her, cold and suffocating. The rich and heavy landscape, once comforting, now ripped, horrified gasps from Brooke's mouth. The ache of shallow breaths and stinging rain. The panic in losing her grip, long lost, yet replaced with nearly bone-breaking efforts to push upward. The damp soil wrapped around her like a shroud, pulling her into its depths. And in those final moments, as the mud reached her chin, as her breath came in shallow, desperate, and uneven.
What was that? In her strain, she brushed her foot against something with give. A plant root? An animal? Fear clutched poor Brooke as she searched for the focus, for bravery, for survival.
And then it clicked. Skin. She could feel them beneath her, buried deep in the earth. They had been waiting for her, their cold hands brushing against her skin, their whispers filling her ears. And just before the mud closed over her, just before the world went black, she understood. She wasn't the first, and she wouldn't be the last.
Now it was her turn to wait with the others under the mud. She would wait until the next one came, and the next, and the next.
That's not true, right?
Some of the other counselors say they felt the grass, tripping on a hike and looking back to see nothing in their way.
Okay. That's enough, Max. It's just a silly story, you guys. Nothing to worry about. Now, who can make a snail?
Do you think she's real?
No. Of course not.
Why did you specifically avoid the bigger puddles then?
Getting our clothes wet is one thing. Getting them muddy is another.
I'm sure that convinces the kids.
Who you're about to wake up.
I saw how nervous you were when Joey and Mark started asking if anyone had more light bulbs. Didn't he say his mom bought 2 boxes of them?
It wasn't this bad this early last year.
Maybe we're just freaking ourselves out for nothing. Last year wasn't bad.
How do you explain whoever was calling my name from outside the cabin? It was pouring that night.
One of the other counselors was just playing a mean prank. They know how much that legend gets to you.
Then why do you keep telling it?
What do you mean? You help, you jump right in every time.
You've told that stupid story every summer since we were 11, Maggie. When I made a big deal about it after Connie, everyone said I was just crazy. Who told you it to begin with?
I don't remember.
Just say you made it up.
I didn't. Someone told me. I just can't remember who it was.
A random person? One of the campers?
Amanda, come on. Cut it out. You're going to wake them up.
I always drop it when you tell me to drop it because it freaks me out. But anytime it starts pouring, you just have to talk about poor Brooke that got eaten by the woods.
Stop it. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
You just convinced these campers quicksand is real.
Okay, but there are a couple of spots near the lake to look out for.
There's always something calling my name outside when it rains too hard, but you're scared?
Shh. The kids will hear you. It was a woman, all right? I thought she was a counselor.
You heard it here at Wanatel?
Yes! I was trailing behind everyone on a lunch hike because of how many puddles there were. I was hopping in them. And then a woman said if I wanted to stay at camp and not end up like Brooke, that I'd avoid the mud.
And then you asked about Brooke?
I thought she meant my neighbor's little sister. I asked her if she knew her, and she just stared at the trees for a really long time and said if I wanted to know what happened, she would make sure I didn't get in trouble.
Then she told you the story. Then I was the first person you told. Everybody heard that story that summer.
No one went for any muddy hikes.
Ugh, now I'm even more creeped out.
So, do you think it's true? Maybe whatever took Brooke came for Connie.
I don't think I want to find out. Miss Wade said she went home, so just believe that. Try to get some sleep.
Toad Cabin still has a bunch of lights on.
It wouldn't hurt to leave one of the lanterns on. I brought extra batteries.
You always bring extra batteries. I'll put it on the table, near the door. Do you really hate it that much?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Credits to the cast in order of appearance. Tory Doctor as Alan Wilson, Jeff Moats as Johnny Cowan, Jay Wassell as Amanda McMillan, Rachel Schumacher as Maggie Robbins, Marlon Dance-Hooi as the narrator. Additional voices by Ely King, Kelly the Kellhop, Martin Greene, Joshua Chamberlain. And credits to our crew: executive producer and associate writer Erin Valentine, lead producer and associate writer Saff Brydebell, lead writer Adelle King, script editors Ely King and Xavier Searle, lawkeeper Ely King, lead audio engineer, composer and associate writer Meg McKellar, audio engineers Esti Hernandez and Jacob Gucci Yamaguchi, lead visuals artist Dexter Valentine, visuals artist MB Lee. Thank you for listening to 1.7 Miles to Lake Wanatel, a Honeydew Studios production. We hope you enjoyed. Tune in next Saturday for a new episode.